Now it's time to bring in our first guest, best-selling author, speaker, life coach, and dating expert, Lisa Copeland. She's the author of the Amazon bestseller, The Winning Dating Formula for Women Over 50, 7 Steps to Attract Quality Men. Lisa, thanks for joining us on the show today.
Oh, thank you for having me here. This is such a big topic. I'm happy to help you out.
So what drew you to becoming a consigliere, if you will, for ladies over the age of 50 who are on the dating scene?
Well, truthfully, it's because I didn't know what I was doing. I spent a lot of years just crying because I did not understand men. I did not understand how to date. I had no clue. And I just didn't know what was going on. So I just cried a lot. And I wanted a place to get support and couldn't find it. Nobody was helping people in their 50s date. They were all really young people that were helping young people.
So so you're probably an advocate of the old men are from Mars, women are from Venus, that just like you don't understand men, I'm sure I could speak for a lot of our men viewers that we might feel the same in reverse. And I guess that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it so interesting, right?
I think it makes it fun, but it could be really frustrating. And the reason is because we think from different ways of thinking. Like, women are community oriented.
Mm-hmm.
So we do what's best for the community. And men, especially over 50, are what I call hero oriented. They truly have a desire to make a woman happy. You know that old saying, happy wife, happy life?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's where a lot of men over 50 are, and they really just want a chance, and women are not always giving them a chance, and women treat them like women, and it's very difficult for both sexes to connect because of that.
So it's a little bit of the old hunter-gatherer, it sounds like. I remember
Mm-hmm.
one of the funniest plays I've ever gone to see, I'm sure you've seen it, is Defending the Caveman.
Yeah.
and for our viewers, I can highly recommend that. If you ever get Defending the Caveman come into your city, you should definitely go see it. It's a great play, a skit on the differences between men and women. But it's kind of like, it's the hunter-gatherer syndrome. Like you said, the gatherer is more community-oriented, whereas the men are more unilaterally focused. And if that man is in love with a lady, then his whole focus is on her, almost at the detriment of everything else. And that's kind of sort of what you're saying in a way, is it not?
It can be, but it also is the way that just the communication is very different because men communicate differently from women. You're right. Men are because you're a man, you're really single focused, whereas a woman can watch what's going on in the room and all around the room, whereas most men can't. And what's so difficult is a woman will be upset about something and she expects a man to recognize that right away. But if a man is single focused on the task he's doing, then he doesn't see it. And she gets extremely frustrated because she expects him to, when she's standing there crying and he doesn't see it, to see her crying. But we as women make the mistake of thinking that men know what we're thinking. And you have no way of knowing what we're thinking. You don't think the way we think.
It's interesting because what you're describing affects not just men and women over 50. It affects men and women of all ages. But
Mm-hmm.
in the 30 seconds we have left in this block, tell our viewers, why is it especially difficult for those of us over 50?
Well, you mean to date or to understand each other?
From a dating perspective, what are those more difficult challenges? We'll at least get into it in this segment and we could finish up after the commercial break.
I think the biggest challenge is everybody's looking for perfection now that doesn't exist. And that's because they've either been hurt or they failed in a marriage and they don't want to fail again.
Yeah, and it's tough for us people get on and get set in their ways. And we need to take a quick commercial break, but we're looking forward to having you back in just a minute. And you stay with us too. We'll be back here with more on the Income Generation. I'm Dave Scranton, and yes, we'll be right back. Now it's time to welcome back Lisa Copeland, best-selling author, speaker, life coach, and dating expert. Lisa, thanks for sticking around.
Thank you, Dave.
So,
Fun being here.
Gee, you'd think by the time you get over the age of 50, you'd think you'd realize that the perfect man, the perfect woman doesn't exist, not around. But you're saying that actually the older you get, the more you stick to that ideal. That's, it's, I would have expected like the Barbie and Ken aspirations to be at a young age, but you're saying it gets worse as we get older.
Definitely gets worse. I remember when I first started dating, I saw profiles by men that would say, I'm looking for this petite blonde haired woman that wears this type of clothing, has this type of job. And by the way, women do the same thing. I'm looking for this kind of man with this specific job that he has who could take me out wherever. And we do that because we think that these external things are what's going to really make us happy. But, having someone who's a petite blonde may make you momentarily happy. What you really want over 50 is someone you can have fun with, someone you can have companionship with, someone you can play with. And it really has nothing to do with their hair or their clothes or their job. It has to do with how you connect with each other and how you communicate with each other and how much fun you have together.
So what you're saying is, as you get older, you think you have the more precise, more exacting picture of the person whom you want. But in reality, it's not the person that you want. You just don't realize it.
That's right. When you're younger, you're actually hunting for someone to have babies with. And since we're one of the first generations to be dating in our 50s, we're still dating that way. So people are looking for that youthful, vibrant person, which is great, but people are over 50. They're youthful and vibrant for being over 50. Not 20. And yeah, they're looking for the perfect person who isn't going to make them happy. How they interact with that person, how they feel around that person is what's going to make them happy.
What do people specifically have to watch out for who are widows or widowers? Because you get more and more of those when you get over 50. What are the gotchas there that people need to be aware of?
I'd say scammers. They'll play on your heart and they'll ask you for money. And it happens to men and it happens to women because all of a sudden you're getting all this attention from someone that is calling you all the time and really listening to you. They're very well trained to listen to what I call your Achilles tendon, your hurts, your pain. And they will identify with it and tell you they have it too, which helps you identify. And then that is when they come in for the scam of getting money from you. And it sadly happens all the time.
Okay. In the 30 seconds or so we have left in this segment, tell us, what are the things you watch out for? You're on a date. It's one of these historical, ugly first dates that you read and hear about all the time. What do you watch out for that should be a flashing red light in someone's mind?
I think if someone's on their phone the whole time on a date or can't pay attention on a date, that's a huge red flag they're actually saying, I'm not that interested in you. I would say that's the biggest one. And also asking a million questions that are like resume building versus just getting to know someone new and interesting. And talk about things from your past. It really makes a big difference.
It's interesting. As you were talking about being on the cell phone, I could see out the corner of my eye our producer, Sarah, who's saying, that's a red flag. Can you stay with us for just a couple more minutes? I have one more question for you, but we have to take a commercial break. You stay with us too. We'll be back with more here on The Income Generation. I'm Dave Scranton, and we'll be right back. And we're back here with Lisa Copeland, best-selling author, speaker, life coach, and dating expert. Lisa, thanks for humoring me and sticking around for just a couple more minutes here.
My pleasure.
Obviously you're the dating expert, and we talked about people who are widowed, dating widows and widowers. But, how about the people that maybe forgot to go on dates because they've been working, two spouses working. Now they retire, bam, they're home together 24/7. What's the best advice that you can give those couples for staying together so that they're not out in the dating scene? If they're on a dating scene, they're going on more dates with each other.
So that's a great question. Number one, they need to find individual activities when they retire because being together 24/7 can become exhausting, especially when you're not used to it. You're set in your ways, those types of things. The other thing is you want to really do a date night once or twice a week. Get back into feeling special about each other that way because just staying home and eating dinner is not a date night. You want to do something special together that's fun because that's going to bring back those heart feelings that you had originally when you're doing fun things that are out of your normal routine.
So you're saying if she makes dinner just because I'm willing to do the dishes, that doesn't really make it date night?
No. And just sitting and watching Netflix doesn't either.
See, and again,
Or
I see our
sports.
producer Sarah sitting there saying, So I guess I'm the odd man out here. But Lisa, thanks so much for being on the show today. We really appreciate your insight. It was wonderful.
Thanks, Dave.